to be able to understand what you're playing, and specifically for someone that wants to be able to play with other people and improvise, it's been super helpful. I mean, on so many levels. You provide the guidance, and then you also provide the tools. And with that alone, it's liberating.
In this video, we have a bit of a before and after with Adam, one of the graduates of my guitar program. Adam is a lawyer in Nashville, a busy professional who has always had this passion for the guitar and has wanted to reach that point of fretboard fluency. And it was really awesome that we were able to do that together. So the before and after sequence has to do specifically with fretboard memorization. Now, we do a lot more than just fretboard memorization in the program, but you'll notice kind of where he's at week 1 and then where he's at the end of the program. And then we have a open and honest conversation about his experience of the program. I know it's a little long, so don't feel pressured to watch the whole entire thing, but I hope you enjoy seeing Adam's progress and also hearing what he has to say. My friend Adam, you are what, like 6 days into the program now?
Just about.
F.
I don't know what that is.
A.
Again.
A. C.
C.
A.
I'm at a loss.
B.
Okay.
D flat. A sharp. D. F. F sharp. D flat. D flat. Dude, that right there, that was pristine. If anything, the little beat 4 made it better, because who wants it perfect, you know?
Right.
As I was just saying, congratulations. I'm so happy for the amount of progress and the time that we've spent together. And I'd love to honestly just kind of ask you a couple questions about your experience of the program and just get kind of like your honest feedback. Is that cool for you if I ask you a couple questions?
That is perfect for me, Eric. Yeah, I'm happy to have graduated.
So let's talk about that first. You literally just finished your test. You are now just the 15th graduate. How does it feel to kind of be on the other side of this program now?
It feels liberating. It feels liberating. That's the word that comes to mind. When I set out on this guitar journey with you, it was to really break down the instrument, and really understand what I was playing, understand where the notes are, understand where a series of notes are, and their relationship to one another. And that was something that was always elusive to me. And, after taking the time by myself with you, walking through the material, I feel equipped to move forward. I feel like there's structure to how I can attack something new. I feel like I know how to problem solve something on a theoretical level, which is really cool. And I think most of all, which I was not really expecting, but which did come, is that my ear has gotten stronger. My oral skills, being able to hear a melody and then transcribe that on my guitar in real time has been so powerful. You just get a sense of what the music is that I'm hearing, and to be able to play that, it's so liberating.
Dang, liberating is a strong word, dude. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, it, like I said, man, everyone can learn the licks, and everyone, being, part of the guitar is being a technician, right? But to really be able to understand what you're playing, and, specifically for someone that wants to be able to play with other people and improvise, or just break down your favorite music, which I think I fall into both of those buckets. It's been super helpful. I mean, on so many levels. Hearing chords, finding chord tones, and also just knowing what notes I'm playing. I mean, that alone is something no guitarist wants to do, but then when you realize that you have to do it, and then you provide, a great mechanism to that facilitates learning that, you know, and it's no easy feat, but you provide that the guidance, and then you also provide the tools, and with that alone, it's liberating. I can see notes on the guitar. I can play melodies in multiple positions, and it feels great.
That's huge. And when you say that you can see the notes on the guitar, you can play melodies in multiple positions, is that something that you weren't able to do before the program?
It was something I would say extremely limited on in doing. So, some strings, I would say namely like the E, the low E and the A string, because those just serve as kind of the roots for bar chords. So you're able to work through that. Um, I could do it in a limited way, but now I feel that, I can hear a note and I can see octaves. So I can see those root notes in different ways, and I can see uh, the different root positions. And so there I know where, uh, the different scale degrees are in the major scale. And, um, you know, having the major scale, I would say 80% down. I think you might disagree with me there and say I might have it more down, but really, here, like being able to work and say, wow, I know the major scale, and I know where the notes are on the major scale in multiple positions on the neck. Um, is true is it feels so empowering. And the last thing I'll say is, yeah, no, I did not have that before, but through diligence, hard work, and meeting with you, and helping you being able to help me understand, that's the key, is the guidance element. It's being able to, it's like you're on the being on the verge of a breakthrough, and saying, okay, I think I know this, but let me confirm it with you, who has that deep knowledge, and being able to do that. That was, it's where it all comes together.
Dude, that's huge. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about what it's meant for you to kind of have that support from me, that one-on-one attention, kind of what you were just mentioning. Yeah, how valuable has that been for you to be able to work through with me, kind of every step of the way?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite elements of this whole program. I think when we first spoke, what was that, 2 months ago? It's crazy that it was 2 months ago, Eric. When we first spoke, one of the things that I had emphasized was that everyone wants a good teacher, and good is a very loose way of saying it, but you want someone who's going to keep you accountable. I think that's what we all seek for in a mentor-mentee relationship, right? Is providing that guidance, and that's an element to it. It's been extremely helpful, and I wish everyone had a mentor like you, who could really, could answer the questions in real time and be supportive, um, and correct me. Let me emphasize that, because sometimes, well, you laugh, but for someone that wants to really learn music and be able to understand it, who's not in a pedagogical setting, a true, academic setting. I think the materials that are out there for guitar players today, especially on the internet, don't necessarily provide that. And that's what, the one-on-one accountability element does provide. And I did not take that for granted, and I do not take that for granted. So yeah, it is a huge chunk of what Fearless Fretboard is, what I've been able to get out of it.
I love that, man. No, yeah, I've really honestly enjoyed working with you as well. That's the nice thing about working with people that I enjoy working with, is I get to let, people into the program that I'm excited to work with. So it's been, a joy for me to work with you as well. I'm happy to hear that the kind of one-on-one mentorship has been helpful for you. Kind of in that same vein, what other ways would you consider the Fearless Fretboard guitar program to be different than kind of what you've tried in the past, or what else that you see is available on the internet?
Sure. So I'll pull from a couple different sources. So we just spoke to the accountability element. I think there are maybe a couple places out there, but it's not, they kind of throw you into it. Whereas your course, when we spoke and it was saying like, are we going to do this? You say it's like breaking down the guitar by the building blocks. And I mean by the building blocks. It's starting with note by note, fret by fret. What is a note? Even things that probably people know somewhat, but hammering them home and getting granular. So it's not jumping ahead. It's not moving fast and doing crazy licks. It's really understanding what is underneath my fingers right now. And I would say, that the accountability element, and also the material element. You go slow, you really break it down. The material is taught in a way that I would say is more digestible than other programs that I've tried in the past. And I would say that, and I've tried a couple of them on the internet, and uh, it's all been very piecemeal. It's all been very piecemeal. Um, I would say the number one thing that this course does extremely well, besides what I've learned, the substantive element, is being equipped with ways to tackle material in the future. Ear training, who knew that I would be singing the major scale to myself in my car rides, and and then really hearing that, and then saying, oh wait, and then I hear a song, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I know what those, and then I can just grab this and say, okay, then I can do that, and next thing you know, I have my own backing track, and then I can improvise over that and start putting stuff together in ways that I was not able to do before. That has been such an empowering element. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, the mechanism for learning new material. Uh, you know, there are so many different scales out there, so many different songs, so many different other theoretical elements that we did not touch, but I know that I can. That I know that I can attack them now.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing to break up. I'm sorry, bring up. Uh,
Mhm.
what kind of makes you confident that you're going to be able to take the practice from this material and your knowledge of the major scale? What makes you confident that you're now going to be able to go and apply that to other material and other scales?
Sure. So part of this, as we've now come on the 2 month mark, is that it was, it's focused on a limited amount of material from the outset. And it took 2 months to really digest that, working at it daily. And I've learned that it all takes time, nothing happens overnight. So with that in mind, applying that same framework to other more advanced, theoretical topics, um, to apply to the guitar, I feel equipped to do. Um, they're spoilers for some people, but matrices is a really cool, concept that was introduced, that I had not thought of, and you know, before when I'd only pick, one key to work in. Now, next thing you know, I'm working in seven, and I'm really moving around the fretboard. It's been, uh, yeah, it's been really good in that way. But yeah, we're tackling tackling concepts that I think are scary is not the word, but more advanced to people that they feel that are out of reach. That I think for once for me were out of reach. I'm like, I don't really understand, why that scale sounds the way it does. Well, now I can break it down and say, oh wait, I can break that down, and in the same way that we went through this material, and I can start working in that and getting more fancy with it, and that's the real key. That's the golden ticket, which has just been, I'll go back to that word, liberating.
Yeah, dude, that is huge. I mean, it sounds like you've really kind of gotten so much of what I intended you to be able to get out of this program. That makes me really happy to hear. Let's kind of go back to the beginning. Let's go back to 2 months ago. You know, you follow me on Instagram. We start messaging. We get on a call. Kind of, how was that experience for you? Just kind of like following me, getting on a call, and then what was like that? What was that moment where you made the decision to go all in? What was the thing that really kind of clicked for you where you were like, you know what? I'm going to commit to this thing and I'm going to do this. What was that for you?
Yeah. Well, immediately the first thing that comes to mind is there was an accountability element that had been missing for me. And I'd gone through some teachers, and they all have their own teaching styles, and no one was a bad teacher. I think everyone's, um, has their own style. But one thing that was missing was someone saying, "What's going on today?" Someone saying, just wanted to check in and see how practice was. Um, that was new, and that was refreshing, because I think for a lot of us who are not professional musicians who are really studying this on our own time. That's someone like me. You want that element, and as someone who was in school for a while, uh, I, you want, if you have a good mentor mentee relationship, it's something that you want to continuously strive to seek. Um, and so that has been attained with this course. And, uh, Another thing I think too was, like I said, really getting granular with the material. I can play some licks. I know where my root notes are, but I really wasn't sure of the distance between those, and I wasn't, sure like what the function of those notes was. Let me stress that. Um, Drop my pick. Um, I wasn't entirely sure how the chords were made up, right? Specifically the more advanced chords. Um, and now I can kind of work on that. Now I can say, okay, oh wow, there's the seventh, the ninth, the 11th, the 13th, and kind of like play around and say, what are the functions, of those. So that was really big when I, looking back at it 2 months ago. And also someone, I think the last thing I'll say on that, which was huge, was just knowing that there was someone to walk me through um, even the most, basic of music material, and just saying like, just hammering that home, because now I feel that my foundation is so much stronger that, I'm like I said, I feel equipped to tackle more advanced stuff.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
Huge. That's super huge.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just been such an honor from day one, kind of conversing for you. In terms of that kind of day one moment, how was it for you like jumping on a call with some random guy on the internet? Did it feel kind of weird for you in that moment, or did it feel natural? Like what was that like for you to get on our first call?
Sure. It didn't feel unnatural. I think you're there. You saw my playing, and you wanted to know what my situation was like, right? Like, how was my music journey? And no one had ever done that before. And I recognized that. And you know, when you told me it was like, this is what I offer, and it's like, I think you'd be a prime, I may or may not have been a prime student for you. Um, that was something that let me compare it to this. There are so many different resources out there, so many different guitar resources, and they offer so much material. But what they don't offer you is someone to help you walk through all of that. They do not offer that. I'll call it handholding, but in a way, it's someone to help guide you through the huge chunk. And it's like knowing, you have to break it down one by one, and you're not going to really understand it unless you have someone to help you bounce questions off of you and say, this is how you play something that's more advanced, or this is why it functions this way. And that's that was huge. That was huge. And so I think in that initial call, it was saying like, this is what I offer. It's different from other programs, and it is different from other programs. It's been a 2 month journey, but I've been able to get so granular with it, um, and it feels liberating. And on top of that, too, Eric, um, there were, especially like week 4, I think, like right around the halfway point, it's like you feel that there's been strides, and then you feel like, wow, there's a lot coming at me. And so it starts to affect a lot of what you've broken down. But sticking with it and just giving myself time to breathe and proper sleep. I'll tell you what, there was like there was a certain click moment for me, probably around like week 5, 6, where I was like, whoa. And I could start to really see the different intervals, the different roots, and where the the relationship to the root with the other notes, the distances, seeing that physically play out. And I could also see the physical notes. I could see the notes on the fretboard from doing the note memorization, where that was once so hard. And now you pick out a note, and I can pick that out on any string. It's empowering.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's different. I mean, honestly, man, you've come a long way. A lot of students do get a lot of progress, but you've really put in additional work. At times you've gone the extra mile to kind of, customize your practice plan to your own needs. And I'm just really proud of you for doing all that. Let's talk about that kind of progress, and I guess more specifically, the expectations. So what expectations did you have for this program from the beginning? And then did the program, meet those expectations at all?
Sure. What expectations did I have? Well, I wanted to learn the notes on the fretboard. I wanted to understand the relationships that the notes have with each other, depending on the context. I wanted to understand context itself. In fact, that's one of the most important things I've taken away from this is that word context. Um, you know, um, I wanted to be able to have more confidence in, playing with other people. And that doesn't mean shredding, but it means, making music, music within a certain context and it's sounding good. Um, and I've definitely been able to do that. Um, I had an expectation that we would meet, and we have, and you've been able to answer the questions that I had and teach me new things. There have been exercises that I've done where I've thought I was getting it right, and it was in a way, but then you've been able to enlighten me and say, well, there's an easier way to play this, or here's the easier jump, or there's the quicker way. And you're like, oh, wait, I wouldn't have thought of that. Um, and that's definitely, that expectation was met. The exam we just had, I think really captured it, and tying it into the enjoyment element of all this, right? Looking 2 months back and 2 months now, I can see the notes. I can play melodies in different positions. I can see the major scale on one string, on multiple strings. I can see different triads. Uh, and that needs a lot of work. That doesn't stop for anyone. But I can see that. I can see it across 3 strings and 4 and even 5, beyond the geometric shapes that were taught. I wanted to demystify that, and I feel like I have. Um, and something I know I'm still working on, but it's been a real game changer, is seeing chord tones within a chord. Um, that, that was something that I had never really worked on, but knowing the distances between, notes in a triad, and knowing what context we're in, it's been really helpful. And that journey will not stop for me. I feel this is really the only beginning for that journey, but having that baseline, um, yeah, man, the expectations were met. We have our community calls on Monday, which I know are also continuously fine-tuned. And they've continuously gotten better. I think it's showing, showing us something in the class that is applicable to what we're being taught. Um, it's engaging with a community of, students across the country and world, which has been really nice. And that's something we haven't really even touched on during this talk, but meeting other people and you know hearing their thoughts on something, and we all come from different backgrounds, different ages. So being able to share our love of music and theory in that, and just trying to really dig deep into a hobby or a job, depending on who we are, but like really being able to dig deep and share our appreciation for that has been awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
No, you've been an awesome addition to the community. I love being able to curate this community of like-minded guitarists. And it's fun that it's kind of taken on a little bit of a life of its own, which has always been the intention. And we do have an international community, but you also, you're connected with someone who's in the same city as you, which is kind of cool.
right.
Hope you guys will be able to jam soon. Nice, man. So yeah, that gives me some good feedback that things have been going well. I do have lots of plans to continue iterating and making the program better. And if you ever have any kind of future critiques, please text me, let me know. Another question that I have for you is that you are a professional man, you've got a busy full-time job. So how was for you kind of balancing the work in this program and then your other busy responsibilities that you had in other parts of your life?
Sure. Um, so for being a lawyer, I have a pretty demanding schedule at times. And one thing, when I made the commitment to join Fearless Fretboard, I made the commitment. And I think that's what everyone really needs to take into account. And I certainly did. It was sitting down every day, um, planning out my practice time, um, knowing what I was going to do. I think that's something that the course does really well with the practice sheets. And I think those are really, for what we're trying to accomplish in this course, are really so critical, um, extremely critical for getting granular, and then also having that foundation moving forward, um, are super important. Um, yeah, I mean, it was really just being able to, forcing myself to sit down, but not forcing it like this. Oh, I have to play guitar. You know, um, I looked forward to it because I told myself that I set out to do something. And I think that's important for people that really want to get granular, because it's not, there are, I think, easier things to understand in music, right? Like the base of it, but like once you cross the threshold and get more advanced, it can start to really stockpile real fast. Um, and being patient, you know, uh, having my cup of coffee in my morning with my practice, and my evening cup of tea sometimes, sometimes if I had the ability to pick it up, during a lunch break or something, um, doing that. But just telling myself whatever time I did pick up the guitar for actual practice, that I was going to practice on what I needed to practice. Um, and that has been key. I think, I mean, it's like all part of the picture, but being consistent with it, being consistent with what I set out to do, not just noodling, um, has been a game changer.
Dude, that's huge. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that you're able to make this much progress and get this much done while also having the demands of being a full-time big boy lawyer,
Yeah.
like full schedule, full clientele list, all of that. Were you concerned at all that maybe your responsibilities professionally might get in the way of some of your ability to get this guitar work done?
I think in terms of actual time, no, but in terms of being able to mentally hone in, yes. I think that is something that, um, we look at. I look at this as an escape, a way to kind of move to a comfortable, safer space. Um, and as with anything, life can get in the way. Um, you know, life is just heavier. So yeah, sometimes it does, but I stuck with it and I picked it up. I picked up the guitar and I did my work even on the days where I really didn't feel like doing it at times. Um, and I stuck with it. And what's amazing is when you do that, you find that all it takes is just getting into the groove. Because once the groove sets in, you got it. You're already doing it. And that doesn't always happen. But when it does happen, it's really nice. Um, so yeah, yeah, yeah. Staying true to it. That's a big key.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you didn't feel like doing it, you put in the work anyway to get you started, to give yourself the opportunity to get into that groove. And now, you're using words like liberated, and you are reaping the benefits of doing that for 2 months. So if you think about keeping up the work that you've done for the past 2 months, if you do that for another 2 months and then 2 years and then 20 years, I mean, just think of how much progress you'll make. That's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And like I think at the beginning I said it's like that's why it feels so liberating because I feel like I have the tools and the I can program out what I want to do in the future and that feels amazing. Um there's also, one other thing I think about, Eric, uh and it's really, I talked about like context as like one of the most important lessons. Um I think the most important lesson, and this is going to sound so vague, but the most important lesson that I took away from this was slow down. Um, I think we all want to play amazingly and rip, and not necessarily play fast, but like play so soulfully and we innately just want to grab that point in time, right? Like if you're hearing something or like a chord progression just vibes with you on a soulful level, you want to jump into that and start doing it. But if you don't know it, if you don't know the building blocks to music and contextually how that all works, it's harder to do that. And then you're like a lamb, you're like a black sheep, you know? Um, so being able to slow down and be patient with myself in learning the notes, in learning different melodies, in learning the intervals. That's why it's been liberating. And it's also, I had to put in the work. I had to put in the work. I can't stress that enough. So,
Yeah, man. No, like I was saying, the progress that you've gotten out of it is indicative of the work that you've put in. I appreciate all the time that you've given me so far. I just have maybe two or three more questions. Is it okay if I ask you just a couple more questions?
sure.
Fantastic. So another question that I have for you is from our beginning conversations, you had mentioned a desire of yours to go back to college and to study music and to kind of study it in a more formal setting. So are you happy that you kind of took this route and started studying the guitar and music in this program? Or is there a part of you that's curious about what it would have been like to actually go back to college and have that experience?
Um, yeah. So that's a great question. Yeah, I came to you because I wanted something of a formal setting because I wanted structure. And I can say that I got structure. There is a huge, you know, motivational element to it where you have to sit down and do the work. There's really no going to class, or anything like that. You have to sit down and do that. Um, but I think that's counterbalanced by, you reaching out and offering a community call and offering to meet and to discuss things. Um, it's different from, I think the traditional guitar lesson, which is you sit down, um, you're tackling something, you work through that, and then there, right? That's not what this is. This is a program course, um, where you learn material and, you work through it, and then you answer questions that we have, and then you show us other things, and that is what happened. Um, so yeah, from the very beginning, I knew what this would comprise of, and how I think it would turn out. But ultimately, um, it felt pedagogical, and I liked that because it's different. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I think sometimes substantively there were things that were difficult to grasp, but I didn't feel, lost at sea. I didn't feel lost at sea. I felt like if I did have a question, I could bounce that off of you, or I could work it out on my own because I was tackling one specific thing. I wasn't trying to like make it all work. I was trying to make one thing work. So yeah, that's how it's been different. But that expectation has also been met. If I would have gone to school for it, there is definitely a more demanding element to that. Um, and I'm currently not someone that's like trying to make music professionally. So I think there's definitely a difference there. So I can't speak for that for the people who fall into that bucket. Um, but I think for someone who loves learning and wants to, as a hobby, and even maybe more, go dig deeper into it. Um, this has a totally different framework than other courses that I've taken in the past, which is nice. And again, I just want to stress that it really it gives you such a strong foundation that when it comes time to learn other material, you can do that. You can really do that. It's going to take time, but you can do it.
Yeah, man, that's huge. It's like you've gotten what I've wanted for you is to kind of build that solid foundation. And now that you have the tools and the understanding, you can go ahead and study new concepts and study new material, on your own, and kind of like the liberating concept that you talked about earlier. I'm just so happy to hear that that's how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it truly, man. I mean, like never would I have ever thought that I would understand or have such a better understanding of the guitar. Um, we talked about this a while ago. It's like piano, you see the piano, you can see the notes. It's like lined up for you very nicely. Guitar is not like that. Guitar is just lined up so much differently. There's frets, you can move this way, you can move up and down. So it's, being able to like have a structural framework on a theoretical level, not just learning shapes, um, has been nice, and it's also been it's it's enabled me to improve my musicality, um, which I think is a byproduct of all this. That was not what I set out to do, but just by knowing, by virtue of working on my theory, my musicality has increased, which is amazing. It's empowering.
Dude, that's huge. And how would you describe the term musicality for someone who might not understand what that means?
Sure. I think for me, it's like it's when you play a melody, or a series of notes, or a song. It's phrasing. So like not just striking the notes, but sliding into them and like providing a unique, personal, soulful feel to what you're playing. Um, and uh, so many different musicians have different ways of doing that. Slides, bends, vibrato. I think of we had that Angus Young community guitar lesson, and we had said there's like Angus Young's vibrato is almost unmatched in some ways. But yeah, playing around with that and just having a much better sense of what I can see, so it enables me to feel more confident in but being more musical, instead of just playing the note, striking the note. It's enabled me to like I feel like I have more I can take more liberties with that. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, it's funny. I mean, you walk into any guitar center in the nation and you can hear a lot of examples of how the guitar isn't necessarily the most musical instrument. You walk into the piano room and people are usually playing music. You walk into the guitar room and people are usually just shredding and playing riffs as hard as they can. So it's awesome to hear that you feel like you're able to express yourself with more musicality now, as a byproduct of studying this material.
Yeah. Yeah, it has truly been awesome because now it's like it's crazy. You set out when we first spoke, you had said it's like we go through this, you walk down this path, it's getting really granular, it's filling in the gaps, but then it's also learning the fundamentals of music. And just by doing that, I had I didn't really think that my ear would get better, but it has. Like as a byproduct of knowing that and like being able to understand, you know, uh, notes in context, and then just by how our brains are wired, conditionally being able to hear that outside of this room when I hear a song and saying, "Oh, wait, that's a seventh to the fifth, or that's a major arpeggio." Like just being able to put that together. I'm like, oh wait, now I can do that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Dude, that's a huge jump. I mean, to be able to go from not being able to do that to doing that, I mean, I can't take all the credit for it because you're the one who put the work in. And the principles are the principles. It's not like I created music theory myself. But to be able to give you the structure and the direction to get to that outcome, that definitely makes me feel really good.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. It has been, these 2 months I've sat down, put in the work, but credit to you, Eric, too, because really it's a two-way relationship. I think, mentor mentee. You've made yourself available. The course itself works for its purpose. Um, you're a wonderful teacher. I think that cannot be stressed enough. I mean, again, if I hope that everyone, at least in their lifetime, at least once, is able to benefit from a wonderful mentor-mentee relationship, whether that's in a formal setting as a student teacher or in the setting like this where it's, mentor-mentee. Um, because once you experience that, then you don't want anything else because it works. And you're able to learn, and knowledge is power.
Dude, I could not agree with you more. I just have one final question for you, if that's all right. Adam, what would you say to someone who is in a similar position to you were when you made the decision to jump into this guitar program? So they're a working professional, they're passionate about the guitar, they're passionate about learning and understanding, but they feel a lack of confidence when it comes to their guitar playing and their guitar understanding. And they're looking for something to help them along in their guitar journey. They've found this Fearless Fretboard guitar program, but they're not exactly sure it's for them. What would you have to say to someone in that position?
Sure. Go for it. Really go for it. I think there's always a hesitation, to like start a new process like that. But you lay out what we're going to learn so clearly, and I can 100% say that I feel enabled after it. I really feel enabled. I'm not, speaking honestly, like I don't understand. There's advanced things I still don't understand, but I know I can attempt them. And that right there, I think, is the best part. It's knowing that any musical concept, it's like, all right, I can break that down. You know, I might not be able to rip the guitar as fast. Like I'm no shredder. For me, it's like really about what I'm playing. But uh, yeah, go for it. It's so worth it, I think, because like I said in this the whole time we've been talking, once you understand, once it clicks down the line, and it will click if you put in the work. Once that clicks, from there, you're really able to say, okay, I know I know what I can do. You'll start gaining momentum. And then once you realize that where you were 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, you've blown past that, and you have such a solid understanding of where everything is underneath your fingers, you can take that to new heights. Um, and that's what you said at the beginning, Eric. You know, um, like nothing about this has been like, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen. Other than the byproducts, like the positive byproducts we talked about. You know, it's been it has truly been something that I recommend to people who are passionate, like truly passionate. I think if you're not passionate about guitar or music, I don't know. But if you're like, I really want to learn, and I want to, I want to be able to play music, and and pursue this, then yes, totally go for it. Make it happen.
Adam, that is high praise. I hope to be able to work with many more students just like you in the future, because I've honestly really have enjoyed working with you and meeting with you and seeing the progress that you've made. And I'm excited to see this future progress that you're going to continue making as you spread your wings and be able to kind of, study some things on your own as well, in addition to, having resources provided for you. So yeah, congratulations, man. And thank you so much for having this conversation. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you sharing all these things with me, and also with, anybody checking this out on YouTube. I know that you're providing a lot of value to people right now. So thank you.
Of course, Eric, it's been an absolute pleasure, really being your student, and also going on this journey with you. It's been it's been liberating, and I feel like a better musician. And to anybody who is listening, I feel like I've said it so many times, but just do it. Just do it.